We are staying now in contact with our Valley natives down in Florida. Right now, we're joined over the phone with Youngstown native Christine O'Driscoll, who lives in Newport now, just south of Sarasota. Christine, thank you for joining me this morning on the phone. I'm wondering what the conditions look like right now where you are.
I'm actually in Northport. The rain started last night. Wind, right now I have about 20 mile an hour winds. That's supposed to increase by this afternoon to about 70 to 80 mile an hour winds, and then tonight 100 mile an hour winds. So it's going to be a long day.
Have you ever seen anything like this? Have you experienced a hurricane in the past? Is this your first experience?
This is my first.
Okay, so evacuation orders, we heard all week, that they were put into place. What made you decide to stay through the storm? Because I know the path was looking really different within the last 24 hours.
Well, the evacuation orders started, a couple days ago, as you said, but they were for non-residents. They evacuate by zones. I'm actually in Zone C. So right now, Zone A, which is, the barrier islands on the Gulf Coast, and, the mobile home parks, low-lying areas, they're under a mandatory evacuation. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
So I stayed. It was weighing out the worst of two evils. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been following up there, the fuel situation. That became a dire problem quickly. We started running out of fuel. Gas stations were closing down. So,
yes.
There's two corridors.
Yeah, I spoke with a Youngstown area native, Christine, who said that she was concerned that it took them about 24 hours to get from where she was in Florida, West Palm, up to Atlanta. It usually takes them just 9, and she said that the fuel situation was a problem. Do you have any neighbors, anyone living near you that are also waiting out this storm?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people that are down here waiting out this storm. I mean, for my first experience, it was, surreal. I mean, to see, the locals that have been here, the natives that have been here forever, helping out, newbies like myself. I mean, as a community, everybody just kind of binds together, and, we're in it together, and, we're going to come out on the other side together, so.
Now, I know one of the main concerns they're talking about now is power outages already. Is your power on? Are you concerned? And do you have supplies? I would imagine it would be difficult to find supplies if you run out.
Yeah, actually, it was difficult finding supplies quickly. I mean, as far as like hardware and, hardware stores and stuff like that, a lot of our supplies went to Texas. So, finding plywood, sandbags. I mean, Florida has done a great job, but, I'm not going to lie and say that wasn't depleted as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, grocery stores, they closed down, I think a couple of them yesterday around 5 o'clock, some of them earlier than that, because, their employees had to get home and do what they got to do. So, yeah, it was like the worst full-time job ever trying to get ready for this. But
our thoughts and prayers are with you. I know a lot of folks down there are concerned for their family members, and here at 21 News, we're checking in with them throughout the storm. So thank you so much for joining me this morning, Christine. Please stay safe.
Yep, thank you.
Absolutely, and I know that the story of the fuel and food supplies, that is definitely going to be a common theme that'll be coming out of this storm. Thank you so much again. People are not the only ones in the wake of this storm. More than 100 dogs and cats also in the path of the hurricane were brought up here to Ohio to avoid the unsafe conditions there. They were evacuated from Florida and arrived in Columbus, removed from shelters in Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach. The Humane Society of the United States is organizing this fight.
Because of our terrific emergency placement partners in Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky, we've been able to move out nearly 200 adoptable animals ahead of Hurricane Irma so that shelters in Florida have extra space in case they need to take in lost or temporarily lost animals ahead of the storm.
And once they're checked out by veterinarians, the dogs and cats will be available for adoption here in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. And coming up on the Today Show, special coverage, more coverage as Hurricane Irma closes in on Florida. You just heard from a Youngstown native just outside of Sarasota who is hunkering down. We have team coverage all morning long as that state prepares for the powerful storm that is set to make landfall. That coming up right after this show, starting at 8 o'clock.